I mean, and spread it out some. I mean, I'd throw in Michigan or something like that. And what's the average salary for not the average salary, average compensation for an assistant professor? And what's our average compensation for an assistant professor? And so my objective was to bring our average, as close as I could to that of the average of everybody around. So that takes a certain number of dollars for assistants and associates and both professors. And hopefully I had enough money to go around. If I didn't, I'd have to be a little below average. But that gave me a dollar amount for professors. Nothing to do with percentages. Percentages are the devil's work. Okay? And, I mean, if you don't understand percentages, they're misleading. Okay, so we had a certain amount of dollars. So then I asked each department to evaluate its faculty members based on what we agreed the workload was at the beginning of the year. And then, and as a matter of fact, a lot of departments, for example, geology, they were, right down the line. They did everything right. The art department, I had Jim Boyle. I don't know if you ever heard of him. Jim Boyle. Boyle was head of the art department. His wife was in the Senate, in the state Senate.
Oh.
So June Boyle. Anyway, I got Boyle in, and of course everybody was super wonderful, and so I'd have to quiz Boyle and finally we get things down in line. So then I ended up with I had A, B, and C raise dollars, and irrespective of departments, a group of professors got the A raise, a group of professors got the B raise, a group of professors got the C raise, and a few professors got zero. It's A, B, C, 0. And same with associate professors. And then I'd stick these into the budget, and then to satisfy Old Main, I'd calculate percentages. And they were all over the map.
Yeah.
They're all over the map. But those people got rewarded. See, the trouble with percentages is that the rich get richer. Okay? Mm-hmm. If I'm making $50,000, I get 4%, and you're making, and I'm doing a certain job, and you're making $40,000, doing just as good a job, you get 4%, I get more than you. Mm-hmm. And that's just not right. So that's why I reduced it to real numbers. Real numbers.
How did that play out? Did people like it, the faculty?
I think they did. I think they did. And what it did was reward the people. And, you could be in the A bracket one year and a B bracket the next year. I mean, you didn't stay in the A bracket or the B bracket or whatever. I mean, you moved around depending on what you did. You could stay in there, but you didn't necessarily stay in there. So that was the system. And, we had a Front Range Deans Society, which involved the guy at Colorado, Boulder, two guys at CSU, because they had a College of Science and a College of Humanities and Social Sciences, and the guy at University of Denver.
Okay.
Who was Dean of Art Science at Denver. And the four of us met maybe once every month or something like that. And it was fun. I mean, we'd meet in the afternoon, and then, the deans would meet and the gals would be out shopping, and then we'd have supper together, and we'd go to a play, or at DU we'd go to a hockey game or something like that.
Yeah.
It was just have a pleasant evening. And I used to go with this rigmarole with the salaries with these guys. And they look at me and say, "You got to be kidding." I said, "Nope, that's what we're doing." And they say, "Christ, that's a lot of work." I said, "No, it's not a lot of work, but it's important to do it so you reward the right people. Never mind the percentages." So anyway, that was the way I did it. We had a number of people in the sciences who were on, quote, soft money. And that was a situation that you had to pay very close attention to, because if you kept the person on and on and on, pretty soon there was an implication that the person was going to be in a, quote, tenure track position, and then you got into real trouble. In fact, I ended up getting sued on one occasion. The guy's name was Biscar, B-I-S-C-A-R, and he was brought in by Proust, Eric Proust, and I've mentioned Proust, who was head of the physics department. And a real gunner. I mean, he really was. God, we had such a department. It was wonderful. But anyway, he had a bunch of guys on soft money. And, I mean, these were people who taught a class and all this and that at a research program. And, you know, each time the appointment time came, I wrote a little note on the bottom saying that so-and-so is not in a tenure track, he's on grant, he's funded with grant money, which turned out to be the lifesaver. So things went along okay, and you know, we didn't get any trouble. But there was Mr. Biscar. Mr. Biscar was a Frenchman, and he was a good scientist, and he was kept on. And then Proust died, and nobody paid much attention. He was kept on again, and he was on for 5 years. And the 6th year, a guy named Tom Grandy was chairman at that time. I said to Grandy, "That's it. We're not going to reappoint him." And so he didn't. And so he sued. And this is really interesting. He sued me as the dean for, having not renewed his contract. He sued Grandy too, and the university and whatever. And then he turned around and sued me personally for defamation of character. And that's an interesting story. So anyway, there we are with this lawsuit hanging over us. And Biscar alleged that the reason he was let go was because his earth-shaking experiment was so near completion that we didn't want him to finish, and therefore university gets credit and so on. So that's why we let him go. And this was at a time when there was a lot of interest in having a faculty union. And the NEA was proposing that, and so on and so on. So the Biscar case came at just the right time for everything to happen. So he files this suit, and he do you know the Etchepara family? Have you ever heard of the Etchepara family?
I have.
They owned this whole